Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. Today we bring you some significant news. Royal Shockwave, King Charles reveals hidden hand in Paris tunnel crash. An exclusive source says that King Charles has now spoken out about Princess Diana's death and the real cause behind it. This turn surprised Camilla and the royal family. King Charles orders unprecedented investigation into Princess Diana's death, citing internal betrayal. King Charles III has launched an extraordinary official investigation into the murder of Diana, Princess of Wales, in a broadcast that broke decades of royal etiquette and shocked people all around the world. The king made a shocking assertion in a gloomy late-night speech from Buckingham Palace that the truth about the deadly vehicle collision in Paris had been hidden on purpose. He said that the reason was not a terrible accident, but a plot planned from inside the royal household itself. The king's announcement, which was made with a somber tone that echoed across the globe, has brought back one of the most terrible parts of modern British history. The king has promised complete openness by unsealing the royal archives and appointing a high-ranking independent judge to head a full-scale probe. He has also promised that every name, every fact, every truth would come to light. The statement has sparked a whirlwind of conjecture, put the House of Windsor in its worst crisis in centuries, and left the world contemplating a subject that many believed was long gone. Who was really responsible for Princess Diana's death? The Midnight Declaration, a time for a monarchy to face its problems. London was quiet at night, like a blanket over the city, yet something big was about to happen. The city's noise had turned into a whisper, and Buckingham Palace stood in the middle of it all, a quiet, glowing guard. But beneath its grand front, history was being changed. The country's broadcasters cleared their schedules without any fuss. At exactly 11:00 p.m., GMT TVs all across the globe showed a picture of King Charles III. He didn't sit in a fancy throne chamber. Instead, he sat in a more austere study that made him feel like he had a serious responsibility to do instead of being a king. His face was serious and his body was stiff, showing how heavy his words were. Millions of homes, taverns, and newsrooms became quiet. For more than 25 years, the royal family's official stance on Diana's death was one of dignified, impenetrable quiet. They supported the results of official investigations while privately dealing with a storm of public mistrust. That wall of stillness was going to shatter tonight. He started with, "My fellow citizens, people of the Commonwealth, and friends around the world." His voice was firm, but you could hear the strain in it. Sometimes in the life of a nation, and even in the life of a family, being quiet is no longer a good thing. It's a burden. We have had to carry this load for too long. He skipped the usual niceties and spoke directly and powerfully. He spoke of heritage, honesty, and a wound that had never really healed. A short, silent montage of pictures played behind him. It showed the bright flashes of paparazzi cameras, the dark mouth of the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, and the twisted wreckage of the Mercedes-Benz. It brought back memories of the night of August 31st, 1997, when everyone in the world was traumatized. The official story of that night in Paris is well known, the king said, looking straight into the camera. But a story isn't always the whole truth. There are still questions in the minds of the people, and in these very walls. As a parent and as your king, I can no longer disregard these questions. Then followed the statement that would be heard all around the world. I have come to a serious and unavoidable decision after carefully looking over new material that I have received and struggling with my own conscience. The Princess of Wales's death wasn't only because of a careless pursuit. A betrayal from within, not from outside, changed the course of events that led to that tunnel. The mood changed from serious to shocked. The king himself was suddenly speaking out against the rumors and conspiracy theories that had been going around for years on the edges of the internet and in tabloid headlines. He didn't talk about secret groups or foreign operatives. He spoke of the inner circle, which could only be the trusted group of advisors, courtiers, security personnel, and maybe even family members who are close to the crown. That's why, he said, his voice rising with determination, I have told the Lord Chancellor to set up a full independent public inquiry today. It will have access to the royal archives like never before. It will be able to force people to testify. Its only goal will be to find the whole truth, no matter how unpleasant it is or where it goes. There was a deep and unsettling quiet in the air as he finished his speech, and the screen went blank. He hadn't given any names or concrete proof, just a dreadful, world-shattering idea. In households and newsrooms, a feverish energy broke out. Phones rang, messages flew, and people who were commenting on the news tried to make sense of what had happened. This was more than simply a speech. It was like throwing back a thick curtain on a secret that had been kept for a generation. The king had just verified the public's worst fears, and by saying so, he had put the monarchy's future on the line for a guarantee of truth. The crash revisited. The ghosts of the Pont de l'Alma. To get a sense of how big the king's declaration was, you have to go back to that sunny night in Paris at the end of summer. The lights of the city sparkled on the Seine as Princess Diana and her friend Dodi Fayed departed the Ritz Hotel on August 30, 1997. Their leaving was a hurried effort to get away from the swarm of photographers on motorbikes who had been following them around all day. Henri Paul, the head of hotel security, drove the silver Mercedes-Benz S280 away quickly into the night. Everyone knows what happened next. The automobile went into the Pont de l'Alma underpass just after midnight. The motorist lost control within the tunnel. The car hit the 13th concrete pillar at a speed of more than 65 mm 105 km/h. The effect was terrible. Fayed and Paul died right away. The only person who lived was Diana's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones. He was badly wounded and couldn't remember what happened in the last moments. They gently pulled Princess Diana out of the debris where she was badly wounded, but still alive. The first reports that came in were all over the place and didn't agree with each other. For hours, the world held its breath until the terrible news was confirmed. Diana, the people's princess, had died in a hospital in Paris. The official investigations, first by the French and then by Britain's far bigger Operation Paja, came to a clear conclusion. The incident was an accident caused by Henri Paul's very careless driving and the paparazzi's aggressive chase of him. His blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. It was a sad but simple narrative of speed booze and the media getting in the way. But for millions, this answer seemed too simple and easy. Almost immediately after, a small industry of skepticism sprung up because of the discrepancies and unsolved issues. Why was a senior security officer who was regarded to be a responsible professional driving while very drunk? Why did the security strategy seem so unprofessional for one of the most renowned ladies in the world? Why did it take the ambulance more than an hour to get Diana to the hospital when it should have just taken a few minutes? Witnesses said they saw a strange white Fiat Uno rushing out of the tunnel. This car is said to have struck the Mercedes but was never found. Some people said they saw a brilliant, blinding flash of light soon before the crash, which made them think the driver was doing it on purpose. Some experts wondered whether the disaster could have been caused by a simple contact with a structure because of how bad it was for a strong German car. The situation in Diana's life at the time made these doubts stronger. She had lost her Royal Highness title after her divorce from Prince Charles, but her fame throughout the world had only risen. She was a strong, autonomous humanitarian force, a landmine campaigner who fought against official policy, and a cultural hero who got more media attention than the monarchy she had left behind. Some others thought her relationship with Dodi Fayed, an Egyptian Muslim film producer, was a direct threat to the system. She was unpredictable, out of control, and to some a danger. People say that Diana herself was afraid for her safety. She is said to have written in a now famous letter to her butler, Paul Burrell, that there was a plan to hurt her in a vehicle wreck. People thought it was just paranoia back then. After the king's latest statement, it seems to have a frightening sense of the future. The royal family's silence following her death only made many more uneasy. The apparent coldness and the initial unwillingness to fly a flag at half-mast above Buckingham Palace made the mourning populace feel very far away from the Stoic institution. It added to the story that the royal family, also known as the Firm, regarded Diana as a problem and her death as an expedient but sad solution. For 26 years, these ideas were just ideas that people spoke about in films and on the internet. But the king's comments have brought the spirits of the Pont de l'Alma back into the public eye, where they are seeking a final clear explanation. The inner circle exposed betrayal inside the palace. The king meant to use the words inner circle, and it hurt a lot. It moved the suspicion away from outside forces and right to the heart of the British establishment. This was neither a terrorist attack nor a scheme from another country. The king said that this constituted a betrayal from within the monarchy itself. The phrase inner circle refers to a small, influential group of people who work closely with the monarch. It has senior private secretaries who operate as gatekeepers and strategists, long-serving courtiers who run the household's everyday tasks, and chiefs of royal security who are usually chosen from the top levels of British intelligence agencies like MI5 and MI6. These persons have sworn to be faithful and know the most private, governmental, and personal secrets. The king's claim implies that one or more of these trusted people may have used their power, expertise, and connections to plan or help the events in Paris. The possible reasons for the allegation are as complicated and scary as the accusation itself. Protecting the monarchy. Did many perceive Diana as a threat to the monarchy, since she was famous all over the world, spoke her mind, and was dating Dodi Fayed? Could a loyalist who was wrong have thought that getting rid of her was a necessary evil to safeguard the crown's future and the royal bloodline's purity? Personal ambition or grudge. The palace is a place of great power, history, and at times fierce personal competition. Could a courtier have acted on a personal grudge against the princess out of jealousy or desire for more power? A rogue intelligence operation. The boundary between the state's intelligence services and royal security is well known to be blurry. Could it be possible that someone in MI6, with or without official permission, thought that Diana's crusade against landmines or her connections to people in the Arab world were bad for British interests? It's a very serious idea that the individuals who were supposed to safeguard the royal family may have been involved in the killing of one of its most cherished members. This might change how people see the institution. People now look at the walls of Buckingham Palace with distrust. The hallways may be harboring a scheme of terrible evil. People all across the world are now playing a morbid parlor game, looking at old photos and newsreels and trying to find clues in the expressions of the people who were around the royals. Now every shady person in a corridor and every stern-faced attendant in the background may be a suspect. The king's words have converted devoted servants into possible criminals, and a tragic event from the past into a current cold case. The promise of truth. An investigation. Like no other, King Charles didn't simply make an allegation. He laid out a clear, strong, and surprisingly open road ahead. His idea for the investigation is quite different from what the monarchy has always wanted: secrecy and control. The king has put Lord Justice Alistair Finch in charge of this huge job. He is a well-respected semi-retired judge, recognized for being fiercely independent and carefully handling sensitive national security issues. The pick is purposeful. Finch is perceived as beyond reproach, a person who doesn't owe devotion to the crown, but just to the law. The inquiry's job is huge. The main powers and rules are: the royal archives will be opened for the first time in history to those who want to look at them. This includes private letters, internal memos, security logs, and phone data that have been kept secret for decades. Historians have called this action like finding a lost city, a treasure mine of knowledge that might change the course of history. Power to compel testimony. The investigation will have the legal ability to summon anybody, no matter what their rank or position is. This implies that those who used to work in the palace government, officials, intelligence operatives, and even members of the royal family could have to testify under oath. Working together with other countries. The king has officially contacted the French authorities and asked for full cooperation and a new look at the evidence from the first inquiry in 1997. This cooperative effort shows that the investigation will go beyond national lines and pursue the facts wherever it goes. Public hearings on TV. The king has said that major hearings would be shown live on TV, which is the most dramatic step toward openness. This choice to avoid the usual closed-door aspect of these kinds of investigations means that people all around the world will be able to see the process for themselves, turning it from a state secret into a public event. This investigation is more than simply a way to find out the facts. It goes against the long-held belief that the king is beyond criticism. It means that the institution is not perfect and must be held responsible. The decision has caused a lot of trouble in the royal household behind the scenes. The saying, "never complain, never explain," is no longer true. Longtime employees are now stuck in a web of doubt, wondering who knew what and where their loyalties lie. The palace, which used to be a place of order, is now full of fear and tension. The king's promise of truth has cost the people their peace, which has led to a time of painful but maybe necessary self-examination. A world in reaction: sadness, justice, and a call for justice. The king's announcement was like a thunderclap, and the world reacted right away and in a big way. People started to get together on their own within hours. People gathered at the gates of Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace in London, where Diana used to live. They didn't just bring flowers and candles like they did in 1997. They also brought signs that said "Justice for Diana" and "The Truth Now." The air was filled with a strong energy that was less about grief and more about a strong desire to find a solution. At the Flame of Liberty monument above the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris, a similar scene played out. This monument has long been an unofficial memorial to the princess. Both tourists and locals stood in silence, the king's words giving the place a new scary meaning. World leaders made carefully worded statements backing the king's courageous pursuit of transparency. Behind the scenes, diplomatic channels between London, Paris, and other important capitals were very busy. The investigation was no longer just a British issue. It had become an issue of historical importance around the world. The online world blew up. Worldwide hashtags like "Get Us Diana Inquiry" and "Yuck Royal Betrayal" were popular on social media. The internet became a huge decentralized hub for amateur detectives who shared timelines, looked at documents from the original Operation Paget report, and argued about who was to blame for what. The Court of Public Opinion did a global real-time investigation. This incident has made people rethink the monarchy in a big way. Some people see the king's decision as an indication that the institution is contemporary and prepared to face its own sad history. For them, it proves that the monarchy is inherently broken, as it is so full of secrets that it could hide a conspiracy of this size. The main topic being spoken about is whether this act of openness can preserve the monarchy or whether the realities it reveals would kill it. Putting the House of Windsor through a difficult time, a private family's suffering a public ordeal. Despite the fact that the rest of the world is reacting, the most dramatic drama is taking place inside the House of Windsor itself. Every senior royal has been forced to confront their own past as a result of the king's decision, which has shown how profoundly split the royal family is. The Prince of Wales, Prince William, is experiencing a great deal of discomfort. Because he is the next in line for the throne, he is obligated to support all that his father does in his capacity as head of state. Considering that he is Diana's eldest son, he is forced to endure the most terrible thing that has ever occurred to him in front of the whole world on several occasions. According to some who are close to the prince, he is a realistic person who is also profoundly upset. He believes that disclosure is the only way to put an end to the speculation that has plagued his family during his whole adult life. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, is now observing the announcement from his self-imposed exile in the state of California at this time. He saw the news as a scathing demonstration that he was correct all along. At this point, it seems that his own public remarks on the manipulations and the lack of support from inside the firm were well predicted. It is expected that the probe will have to address the same issues over palace protection and press intrusion that he has said are the reasons he is stepping aside from his royal obligations. A lot of people are going to be paying close attention to see whether he makes an appearance or not. Once again, Queen Camilla is at the center of the whirlwind that is occurring. For a number of years, she was considered to be the third party in the marriage between Charles and Diana. As the queen consort, she is now standing next to a king who is accusing the organization that she now leads of betraying his first wife in the most heinous manner conceivable. There is a significant divide in public opinion over her position, with some people seeing her as a source of strength for the king, while others view her with a new mistrust. In the history of the palace, her covert influence has never been more significant or more thoroughly monitored than it is now. The decision made by the king has placed the need for the institution to continue existing against the profound and personal suffering of the family. As a result, they are now not only members of the royal family, but also sons, a husband, and a stepmother who are forced to cope with a calamity while the whole world watches. Over the course of the next several months, their relationships will be put to the test in ways that have not occurred since 1997. The outcomes of these tests will undoubtedly have an impact on the future of both their households and the crown that they serve. It's possible that the truth will set them free, but it might also cause them to fall apart first. There is a lot of attention and anticipation from people all around the globe for the last part of Diana's story, which is now being written. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and goodbye for now.